Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you another video. All right, Laker Nation. We got a game against the Chicago Bulls, a first of two today, and I did homework about a couple hours ago. I probably should have did this video right after I did that homework, but whatever. We're going to roll off memory. I watched at least 7 games worth of Bulls highlights. Since I know we got 2 games against them, I did double the homework. And, to be honest with you, man, the Chicago Bulls are blowing people out, but they're not closing those. They're not keeping those leads. It's that kind of thing. They can really run up the score fast, but they can also give it back fast. Their roster is a bit incomplete. They're supposed to have a guy by the name of Lonzo Ball down there. Of course, he's out for the season with his knee, and he's going to be out probably for a little while longer than that with a third knee surgery. He may be done, in fact, but hopefully that's not the case, man. We really support Lonzo on this channel, but he's out. Pat in Beverly, that is, the guy we had, point guard at the beginning of the season. We know him well. He knows us well, and he's been talking. And he wants to knock us out of the playoffs. He didn't like how us Laker fans treated him. He thought we should have been able to endure some of the mistakes and stuff like that without being so harsh. But hey, man, the circumstances were as they were. We were not a good team with championship aspirations. LeBron James in year 20. We didn't have time to be running small ball and not looking good out there. So that's what it was. We looked like not so great, and he looked, like he had a lot to do with that most of the time. And so we were kind of at a difference. We had our differences there, man. So we're happy to have moved on now. We moved on, and Pat is now in Chicago, and we got our guys here. I hear D'Lo is questionable. I hear LeBron and James is questionable. Yeah, you heard that correctly. You did. You actually heard that correctly. Yes, LeBron James is considered questionable for this basketball game. I threw that in there like it was nothing, but it was massive. And we're ready for the Chicago Bulls, basically. I don't know that means Bronny is playing, but the fact that he went from doubtful to questionable tells me that the chance he is playing is pretty damn good, which is not something that I didn't predict. Because I told you, if we won them 3 games, LeBron James was going to want to play in the Chicago game. And here we are. He wants to play in the Chicago games. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to. He might be a last-minute scratch because he's questionable. But I'm telling you that everything is aligned as I predicted it would be, because this is just how this goes, man. This is how this goes. The Lakers need to not make the play-in tournament. We need to get in the playoffs because we have an older squad, and we don't want to play extra basketball. You see what I'm saying? So Bron thinks like me in that way because we the same age. So it's like, look, if I can come back sooner, run up some of these games, maybe I can miss some of the back end when we have everything locked up. If we absolutely, nothing will be locked up at the end of this. I don't think so. Mathematically, we'll still be in a dogfight all the way to the end. But at least we won't have to play any play-ins. And so that's what I think the Lakers are trying to prevent from happening with really, really strong intent. The question is the organization and the players on the same page? We've had a lot of disconnect in regards to guys wanting to play through injuries and them not allowing them to, and then the fan base being upset about the players and all this different stuff we've seen more than once in the last couple of weeks. So with this comes a question is everybody aligned with the idea that it's okay to make certain risk happen in regards to certain guys playing through injury, because we're in a space where it would make a whole lot of sense for us to try to push all our cards to the front of the deck and just win whatever we can to secure ourselves some playoff berths. I know this is going to sound very presumptuous given the fact that we don't have anything clinched, and it may not seem like the greatest strategy because I ain't did no thinking in regards to this. But once you get into the playoffs, one could, in theory, strategize some type of rest for certain players that they're not getting right now. And I know that sounds absolutely asinine. I get it. But when you're trying to consider having enough gas to get all the way through, we can't afford to really rest right now at all, because it means the difference between us getting into the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, first game missed, you still got 3 tries. 2 games lost, you still got 2 tries. And so it's like we can afford to maybe sit LeBron James in game 1 of the first round of the playoffs. If it's, you know what I mean? As opposed to if we sit him now, we lose and may not make the playoffs. So it's like, no, do I want anybody to sit in the playoffs? God, no, I don't want anything like that to even manifest. But what I'm saying is, I'm more likely to feel comfortable sitting LeBron James in game 1 of the first round than I am sitting him in any of these games that really matter down the stretch of this season. So if anybody's looking at it the way I'm looking at it, they're saying, well, maybe that's how we can strategize something like that. Maybe we could be hopeful, and that would be a possibility. For now, let's just push ourselves out there and play through this injury. So that's kind of, I guess, along the lines that I'm wondering if that's a good way to look at it, or if I'm just tripping or what. I don't know, but um, yeah, that's kind of what it is. We must win. At the end of the day, guys got to try to suit up. D'Angelo Russell didn't play in the last game, even though he was questionable with hip soreness. That's just tough. That's tough. I made a long video, about 15 minutes long, speaking about how tough it was. But at the end of the day, guys are going to do what they got to do for their health, and it is the right decision. Just because we don't like it or because we have goals as a team doesn't mean that he should be risking his health for any reason. And so it always comes back down to that, whether we like it or not. And most of the time, we do not like it. Simply put, we don't like it. So I don't know if D'Lo's going to play tonight. With him being questionable, it is what it is, just like Bron. But it's very good. Questionable is better than doubtful, certainly better than out. So we'll take it. For all the different things I did not check the injury report for the Bulls, which is a big problem. But I can tell you this: they were healthy in the last game. Kobe White was healthy. And he's playing very well at a high level. And that's the thing. Kobe White's hitting threes, but he's also slashing to the bucket very well, showing a lot of craftiness as he lays the ball up. So we need to be very aware of him. He juked Joel Embiid out of his shoes with a little subtle head fake and then an up and under layup. I thought that was really impressive. I think he's starting to find confidence, which means he'll likely come into our building shooting well. Watch out for young Kobe. Zach LaVine scores so easily, man. Watching highlights from him all morning, this is the most I've seen of Zach LaVine this season. And I could truthfully say he's one of the easiest guys to count on in terms of just go get me a bucket. He's one of the guys that's going to be certain to make something happen 9 out of 10 times. He's just really playing at a supremely high level, scoring the ball from every level. Mid-range, three-point shot, layups, all of it, dunks, obviously. He just gets in the air really easy, gets out in the fast break, dunk the ball with ease. He's just a next level specimen, always has been. And you're going to have to deal with him. There's a good chance he scores over 35 points in one of these 2 games, if not both of them. DeMar DeRozan, same exact thing. You got to know DeMar DeRozan's a mid-range specialist, someone who can get a lot of assists up, can create a lot of plays for others. And, of course, it's just an all-around superstar. Really, he's been a superstar, high-level talent pretty much for the last 12 years. And he continues to get better. I don't know how the heck he had his best season last year, but that's just how he is. I've been telling you guys that since I started this channel, that DeMar DeRozan was the best case study for me growing up, to see guys come along slowly but progress very slowly and get better. Giannis was the same way. It took like 7 years for both of them to fully bloom, but you could see the slow, gradual progression from year to year to year, no matter what. DeMar DeRozan was always improving. And so that's one thing I can say about him. Even now, you can still see that is still the case. And so I'm never surprised to see him do better today than he did in the last game. For all I know, he goes for his career high tonight. And so you can never predict things like that. But what I'm telling you is DeMar DeRozan is in rare form. He's fighting for his playoff life. His team is playing with a good pace right now. That's another thing that I can say about watching so much Bulls, that they play with a nice, easy-to-watch pace in just about every game there is. There's no boredom there, really. In those games, they all played pretty well, and their three-point shot is definitely confident. As I mentioned, LaVine and White can definitely hit the shot, but you got to deal with Ayo Asumu, who's also hitting the three very well. Derrick Jones Jr., who's done some fantastic things shooting the ball as of late, as well as on the defensive end. And like LaVine, he's one of the best jumpers in the league, so you're going to see some highlights playing with this team. DeRozan, too, so it's like the highlights will be there. Of course, we got our guy Caruso, NBA champion with the LA Lakers. That's family, so he won't surprise us when he steals the ball and dunks the ball and hits threes and does all types of things that disrupts us. We have to respect him, and Pat Beverly, who's also hitting the three extremely well right now. Pat's hitting the three, and that's another thing. I'm not so in love with having to see the Chicago Bulls 2 games in a row. Do you know why? Because Alex Caruso and Pat Beverly, it's one thing to have to go up against really, really great defensive players who happen to be on the same team at the same time, hounding you on the perimeter. It's another thing when them 2 dudes play for your team and they know you, and they know you well. I'm not in love with that. I'm not in love with that at all. We got Pat Bev and Caruso, 2 of the better perimeter defenders, hawking our guys. So Schroeder, D'Lo, if he's able to go. If not, Lonnie, hopefully we can get him out there and get some more minutes and he plays confident, doesn't turn the ball over, stuff like that, continue to give us what we were getting. Those guys got to be careful. They're going to have to be careful because you have to respect those guys' defensive ability, and they ain't the only 2. That you got to deal with the superstars as well, who can also assist them in taking the ball from you. So Pat Bev and Caruso are going to make DeRozan and Levine better defenders, and that's what we have to understand. Now, their front court situation is pretty solid, too, when you consider this roster. You're looking at Vucevic, a perennial all-star in this league, pretty much, when he's healthy, and he's been healthy for some good time now. He's healthy right now, and he's playing pretty well. He can stretch the floor. I don't think he's the best fit for the type of team that they have, but they're doing good with him, and they're in this position in ninth place fighting to stay in the play-in tournament, and they need to win this game. So I expect him at a high level to show up against Anthony Davis to try to hold his own and really flex some. So that's something I think that could be there to deal with. Andre Drummond, yet another ex-Laker down there who's playing off their bench behind him, giving him all kinds of help. Drummond is in a good conditioning level for himself, much better conditioning than he was with us. And that was because he had been sitting for 3 months when we got him. But nevertheless, that's not the case in Chicago. He's comfortably playing off the bench in that role. He's been healthy for a couple of years, and he looked really good in them highlights. He looked like a good version of himself, getting out in the fast break and getting steals, jamming the ball from almost half court. From almost the free throw line, rather. Seemed like half court as far as big as that dude can run and jump from. But I'm just been really impressed with how he's looked over the past 2 weeks in these highlights. Every single game, he's really contributing, whether it shows up in the stats or not. Off of the bench, he's coming in and he's doing something to the other team. So offensive rebounds is key with him. Obviously, defensive rebounds is one of the best rebounders in this generation, really, when you consider what he did when he was first getting started with Detroit. So I just respect that they're going to be able to get rebounds off the strength of him. And since we don't have a real center down there coming off the bench, it's going to be on Wenyen Gabriel to have to battle that dude. And that dude is basically twice Wenyen's size. So I'm wondering if the Chicago Bulls are going to give us more trouble than we want when you consider Pat Will is also down there, who's playing at a high level and healthy, mid-range guy. He can shoot the three, but you definitely want to pay attention to him attacking from mid-range, just like Rui. So be aware of Pat. He loves shooting from there. And he also can dunk the ball very well. He has his explosiveness going for himself. And this is a high-level player. He was drafted, early in the draft, like 3 years ago or something like that. Went through some injury issues, but is starting to round into form, and it still has more upside and development to go. So, again, another guy who can get a lot better fast on you, and you don't want him to have a career night in your building. So look for Pat Williams to try to make his self very, very valuable for his team in these two games. Ayo Dosunmu, very good player, man. This is a everything man, Ayo Dosunmu, and his 3-point shot is starting to fall. A swing man, probably best at the 2, but they like to play him at the 1 as well because he has point guard skills. They like to play him at the 3 at times as well because he has length and things of that nature. So they got some versatility with that particular piece. You think about him and Derrick Jones Jr. and the different things that they could do with that when you couple the stars on the floor as well. They could put some real lengthy, long, fast break-inducing lineups on the floor that could kind of take the ball from you and get quickly down there. So we got to be careful not to turn the ball over and get no 2 points in transition on this squad. I want to see Anthony Davis flex, though. At the end of the day, Drummond is not a defender. His best defense is his rebounding and putback and stuff like that. He's not a defender. Vucevic is not known for his defense. He'll do the best he can, but he ain't going to be able to do nothing with Anthony Davis. So if Anthony's flexing like he's supposed to and Vanderbilt is giving us enough to just offset all of the other different things that some of their 50-50 players are going to do, I think we're going to be in good shape. It's going to be about scoring for them. They're going to try to run the score up, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to get enough stops to really beat us if we're shooting like we're capable of shooting and we're scoring like we're capable of scoring. But we got to understand, they've been getting a lot of success on the offensive end of late. The last game they played was against Portland. They beat Portland. They blew them out. They blew Portland all the way out of their game, man. They just stepped into every shot they took. It was just really, really ugly stuff. Portland was missing some people, so it wasn't like they had their full guys. But Chicago just really looked like they were on a string out there. It wasn't even close. They outclassed Portland like crazy. Same thing in Miami, even though Miami was able to come back. Miami came roaring back in the fourth quarter, but the type of start that the Bulls got out to in that game was eye-opening. I mean, they was hitting every dang shot. And then you consider, they had a good game against the Philadelphia 76ers where they came out and won by 1 in overtime. So they've been pushing some overtime games. I think there was another game that they played that I saw highlights of. I think it was against the Timberwolves, yes, a couple weeks ago. I saw the highlights of that and some of it live last week. But, they had a tough win where they did us a favor and beat those Timberwolves to double overtime, which was eye-opening. They had a game against Philly. Actually, 2 games back-to-back against Philly, so I know Bulls are kind of frustrated. They have a back-to-back against Philly 1 week, and then the next week is a back-to-back against the Lakers. That's tough on the schedule, but nevertheless, that's what they've been dealing with. And one of those Philly games, Philly got out to a fast start, like a 22-3 start or something. I mean, they just hit every shot on them, and it was too much for them to overcome. So that's one of the games I saw highlights of. What else? They played a lot. I saw all the highlights of everything they did. It'll probably come back to me later, but the thing that I just want everybody to understand is, the players that I've mentioned thus far, that's really who's coming at you. And they got a lot of them. They're not overly big, but they do have formidable centers that can make it so that their big lineups are big. But they like to go small ball, too. They tend to go with Caruso and Pat Bev and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Ayo Dosunmu. They like to go really small at times. And it serves them just like anybody else. It doesn't. So if they put that on the floor, we just know what we have to do. I think we're going to be able to attack this team. I don't perceive them as a very good defensive squad. They're looking to run the score up. They want Zach LaVine to hit like 8 and 9 threes. That is it. Guard the perimeter against this team, because at the end of the day, they're settling for jump shots. That's really what it comes down to. Yes, they have athletes, but they're not going to want to drive at Anthony Davis. They're not going to want to drive at Wenyen Gabriel so much. They're not going to really want to do that. Those guys are going to want to attack from the mid-range. A good most of them attack from the three-point. A good most of them. And since the 3 balls been falling, you best believe they're going to overshoot it tonight. I can just see it coming. They on the end of a road trip. They can't wait to get home. They know they got to see this same team when they get home. And it's just a whole lot of psychology to go along with this being a 12:30 matchup game on a Sunday. And it is about an hour and 10 minutes or so before that game starts. So, we got to be on guard of what goes wrong in an afternoon game. Even at home, it's just brick shots and bad calls is what I always say in these games. It usually is a blowout one way or another. A lot of times it ain't going our way. And with this team playing at the pace that they do and have the athletes that are in place to be superstars in the places that they're slotted on this roster, we're going to have some mismatches that we're going to have to deal with if we don't have some guys be specialty defensive players. Like, for example, we want to put Vando on somebody, but who he's on, he's not on, if that makes any sense. If he's not on LaVine, if he's on DeRozan, that kind of which is he going to be on, and who do we have guarding the other guy? And then who is checking their third guy who's going to step up? Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White. Those are the 3 dudes that have really been stepping up to assist those 40-point performances from LaVine and DeRozan. Question is, while they're all on the floor together, can they stop a soul? And the answer is probably not. So that's what we got to do. We got to attack them on the offensive end. We got to put them in blenders. We got to get them in foul trouble. We got to continue to respect that they're always going to be able to keep pace with us because of those athletes that can get out in open court so easily. The Derrick Jones of the world, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, they can fly, man. Nothing normal at all. So we have got to respect the lob and try to go take the ball. That's really what I have to say. Take the ball from this team. DeMar DeRozan and those guys, they're going to have to require double teams. You just got to pick your poison and make sure you give them plenty of it. Anthony Davis in doses. He's been attacking like a madman lately, and we really, really, really need to see that continue against the Chicago hometown team. And we know he's from the Chi, so there ain't no way he going to show up and lay an egg against the Go. I will not have it. I'm not hearing it. So this one's at home. The next one's in the crib, and we need Anthony Davis to be on point for both of those games in order for us to lead ourselves to victory against Patrick Beverley, who's very, very intent on riling up his troops, who are good enough with him pushing them to get a victory if we don't show up. So I respect these Bulls, man. I respect them because I know what they've been doing over the last several weeks. They've been giving good games to good teams, and they're fighting hard to get in a playoff circumstance. They do not want to fall out of the playoffs. They're not tanking. So this is a team that's coming with desperation. We don't know them like that since we haven't seen them before this season. They're feisty. Obviously, Pat Beverley's going to try to get in your head. Do not allow him to do that. Do not allow the referees to call things against you. We gotta mix it up very well. We've been doing good with our rotations as of late for our standards. I think we can improve from here, but the improvement is real, and I'm happy about it. Darvin Ham's been using guys that I think could help him win more so. Getting Wenyen Gabriel into a real role in the second half of the season has been good. I'm happy. Being able to see Lonnie Walker in the last game, very good. I'm happy. I know that doesn't come around very often because of the logjam that we have with D'Lo and all these guys, but I don't think removing Lonnie Walker, knowing that he can go for 20 and 3 steals with a bunch of threes, is something that we should ever really want to do, even though he has certain deficiencies. Yes, he may have certain deficiencies, but so do some of the guys we lean on. So let's try to find the balance and understanding that and lean on everybody's strengths, because there's enough basketball to go around if we're strategizing properly. It really is. We don't have to lean into giving people so many minutes because we have so much parity on our roster. So that's something I want to take a look at, and hopefully we can do something about. Troy Brown, I want to see him find some efficiency in this game and find a way to crash the glass. If I see you get 14 rebounds on one night, let's try to make that a thing. You know you're capable of getting crazy rebounds. If you're capable of getting 14 rebounds, then you're definitely capable of getting 7 every night. If you can get 14 one night, I feel like you can get 7 every night. So that's what I want to see him do, have a target of getting 7 boards and gain some cachet to his name in regards to these stats. Same thing with Rui Hachimura. Give me 2 assists, man. Can I get 2 assists out of you a night? I know it's hard because he doesn't get opportunities to pass the ball. So I'll be looking for him to get assists off, and if they don't connect, I'll consider it an assist. But I want to see him make those key passes where necessary so he can get the respect that comes with being an all-around player. Because if you're not an all-around player in this era, you're a scrub. There's no in between. You got to learn how to do certain things that help your team that doesn't just fall in line with 2 categories. So that's a running thing that we've been talking about, and I really want to drill it into our team's mind so that our players can look to do more for themselves so they can stay in this league. So, yeah, that's what's on my mind. Of course, we got to mention Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has been balling crazy, great, even though that last game was not so that. We knew the defense was going to come at him differently. NBA, or rather ESPN and all the big guys have been really, really singing his praises. So that's natural for the hype to be followed with more respect defensively. So expect the Chicago Bulls try to come take the ball from him. You know, Pat Bev knows him, so it's going to be one of them situations where they probably going to throw Pat on him a good portion of the time and try to be irritable. If anything, I know just like Pat knows him, he knows Pat, so he'll take advantage where he needs to, size-wise, and make them get away from that rather quickly, I hope. And that's what I want to say, man. Make them pay for keeping Pat on the floor. Everybody made us pay for keeping Pat on the floor. Make people pay for keeping Pat on the floor. And don't try to say that too often too fast, but it is what it is. It's something that I want us to do. They want to run small ball, so we're bigger than them. Shoot over them. Give me lots of Wenyen Gabriel, lots of Anthony Davis when they want to go small. Because at the end of the day, if we're taller than them when they want to go small, we get easy buckets, we get easy wins. It is really that simple. I've watched people do it to us for 2 years straight, so I know what small ball is about. It's about losing. That's all it's ever going to be about, unless you have a bunch of Steph Currys and Dame Lillards, for which they don't have. Good shooters, but ain't nothing like that. So that's what I got to say, man. Zach LaVine, with that being said, just went on, I think he went for a career high like 8 threes, so he is like that. Just know that I misspoke. He is exactly like that. So we need to respect that. Kobe White and those guys, he's trying to develop into that. So we need to respect their three-point ability. Yeah. And Caruso, you know, I think he's an improved three-point shooter. We know he can hit the big shot, even though he's had games where he's gone cold. It's not something you can play off of him and expect him to miss. Salute the Kobe minute. I want us to stop playing off of shooters, man. We gave up a lot of shots just in philosophy because we like to play off of guys so far, clog the paint. We did so against OKC. It worked out for us. I don't know if that works when you're dealing with DeRozan and some of the shooters that they got. I don't. DeRozan may be depending on how he's shooting. He's not a three-point shooter, but he's developed a three-point shot, if that makes any sense. But Zach LaVine is known for being a microwave shooter of the highest order, really. He's probably going to get over 5 threes on a good night. So it's like we got to find a way to guard the perimeter much better than we've been prone to, and we cannot play off of guys so predictably. that we leave good open guys set shots. Some players are not good when they have a hand in their face and they're going to brick all the time. But some dudes, if you leave them a set shot, they got a comfortable set shot that they're going to take and make a lot of the time. The reason why the percentages lie to you, or rather that's what it is. The percentages are lying to you because they're being contested on a lot of the shots they brick. So we got to make sure we're paying attention to those things. I'm pretty sure those stats are separated. But just in case they're not, be cognizant of that. So yeah, like for example, JRE from the OKC Thunder, we allowed that dude to shoot so many open shots in that last game. It was ridiculous. So let's figure that out. Guard the perimeter with some intent, because the Bulls have that as one of their main strengths right now. And it has been falling quite a bit all over the place. All the guards, Pat Will, everybody, Vucevic, they're all hitting it. So let's know that that's going to be a good portion of what they do tonight. They want to shoot, and they're probably going to shoot a good percentage if you let them. It's just what they've been doing. So that's what it is. 3-point Bulls. Also, offensive rebounds. Again, we're dealing with Vucevic. You're dealing with Drummond. It's going to be tough. Anthony Davis is doing all he can. He's usually leading us in offensive rebounds, so I'm not going to hold him to task for that. He's been excellent there. We got to Wenyen Gabriel. I'm telling you, that's your answer. He's good at it. In fact, he's great at it. That's our answer. Got to go with some more Wenyen Gabriel to offset the ability of the other team to get offensive rebounds. We got to secure defensive rebounds. I always misspeak when I say that, but we must secure defensive rebounds to assure the second chance opportunities do not go to the Chicago Bulls. We've given up double digits offensive rebounds in 2 straight games, and that is not normal. It's alarming. It's going to cost you if you keep letting it happen. So we have got to crash the defensive glass. Also, I want to see us get out in a fast break as best as we can. Of course, we're going up against a team that's much better than us, but we do have that available to us if Bron is back. So that would be really huge if we can have LeBron James step into this game and give us some of that slashing to the basket. And I also like the idea that we're questionable for the same reason I've been saying in regards to let's stay as unpredictable as possible. I hope that the Lakers heard me and made him questionable with that also being in mind if he's not actually going to play. Let's make them think he is. Make them prepare for him. It is good. Make him questionable every day until he comes back. Just for the sake of throwing these teams off. We need to win in these games. These strategies matter, and they could be the difference. So I love that idea of that being possible. Even though it can have an adverse effect when people keep seeing and be questionable and not show up every day like, you don't want that. But at the same time, if you're throwing off the other team, it's probably worth it. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know whether I should lean into believing he's playing or not. Either way, and that's the point. Nobody knows. Neither does the other team, and that's exactly what we want. So, Chicago, you got to prepare for Bron. You got to prepare for life without him, and that means the ball can go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. And so, as I look at us and I say, well, we do too. We got to try to prepare to see if Bron's going to be there or he's not. But I think when I look at us, it's just like if Bron is going to be there, and then we're just going to have to respect that the ball is going to go in his hands. The guy's going to have to defer their duties to him. I would prefer that not necessarily have to be the case, but it is reality. So guys are going to have to learn how to play with the king again. And so I think the king is going to be open to passing the rock a lot more because he knows his team thrives off of parity. This team thrives off of feeding Anthony Davis at key moments. And I do think that winning is leaning on Anthony Davis. And so I think a part of me believes that running the Bron and AD pick and roll a lot when they're 100% healthy is going to give us probably the easiest chance to win. But we have so many different players that can attack, and we need to keep them in rhythm in order for us to get the most out of ourselves. So I don't know what the sweet medium would be, but I want us to have synergy out there, whether he's down there or not. And so it's going to be on him and the rest of the fellas to get it right the first time, because these are must-win games. And so that's really all I can say. What's best in that way? I think I know, but I don't. So I'm just going to roll with saying hopefully these guys can figure out the synergy in regards to who should get the ball and how often they should have it and who should be setting up the offense and stuff like that. We can't afford turnovers, especially against no dang Pat Bev and Alex Caruso. So understand the other guys who we're going against and why it's important not to have any confusion with our ball handling. It would be great if we can get a really good microwave shooting scoring game out of Malik Beasley. Any night he goes for over 4 or 5 threes, we probably won. Honestly, But the question is can you leave him out there to shoot that many if he's cold? And how much can you count on him to be cold since he's been cold so much? The answer's a lot, and that's why he's been demoted to the bench. But I do think that he's playing well off of the bench, and I hope to see him get back into the double-digit scoring, maybe even 20, 30 points, because if that happens, we probably won by the 20, 30 points. So that's also thing. And I also think that Malik Beasley is more valuable on this team when LeBron's on the floor, because I think he was a piece that's directly supposed to be helping LeBron with spacing the floor. So you'll probably see him a lot with Bron. I don't know how that translates to defense, but that's just my hunch. I think he's here for Bron. If you see him as a functional player, that's not what I'm trying to say. If you see him as a piece that really complements anyone, it's probably with the spacing for King James. So yeah, that's a thought, man. Chicago, they've been winning. They've been beating teams. They had a really good game against the Sacramento Kings, where the Kings edged them out at home, but it looked like they were going to win that game for the good majority of the game. They got out to a hot start, hitting threes, getting out in open court. But Sacramento just, said, like I told you guys, De'Aaron Fox is a closer. So when it came down to closing time, I think that game was an overtime game. I think that's how that went. But whatever the case may be, down the stretch of it, he hit big shots. He ended them, just like I know he's going to do in the playoffs to somebody. So, yeah, that they played a tough game, but you run into the Fox, you're going to get burned. So that's one thing that I learned there. The beam was lit, even though the game was in Chicago. I'm pretty sure they did that there. So, games that I just remember they played, like I said, the Blazer game was not even close. And they're coming off of such a fantastic offensive performance that I'm thinking they probably still think they're hot. We better hope they're not, particularly from behind the arc. Like I said, Pat Beverly's three-point shot is falling, so don't think he's the Pat Bev we had when he was struggling the first half of the season, couldn't hit a corner three. The man was like 0 for 100 to start the season. Now, in these highlights, I ain't seen him miss too much. Not from behind the arc. Not that they show too many misses anyway, but he's not missing very much. They're falling, so that's what we need to understand. Trust that guarding the perimeter will be your guide tonight against this team, and the mid-range is very much important because of DeRozan and Zach LaVine. So we know what we're up against. We know what we're up against, man. Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, the defensive players, man. Don't forget about Dosunmu and Derek Jones. These are 50-50 guys. Caruso, Derek Jones, all these dudes. Pat Williams. Trust that they are going to complement Zach and DeMar defensively. Ayo can go for a triple-double. He can do this. He's capable of this. 10, 10, and 10, that kind of thing. Definitely capable of this. Shooting threes. He can stretch the floor. If he happens to get like 18 points and hit like 4 threes, do not be surprised by this. Ayo Dosunmu is a real piece who's only getting better. So you look at him and Kobe White and Pat Will, Derek Jones, they're capable of doing some things. I don't suspect that they're going to come together and blow us out the water, but they are capable of handling business if you don't show up for sure. They're respectable, and players who can really, really add and cater to a strong Chicago bench. There's another rookie over there. I believe his name is, I think I got this right, Dylan Terry, I think is who that is. I hope he's not on the Rockets. I think I get him mixed up with Ty Washington. Yes, Dylan Terry is a Chicago Bull. He's a rookie. And he's also starting to get some minutes here and there, even though they got so many players at his position. Don't be so certain you won't see him in one of these 2 games. And don't be so sure he won't knock down a 3 on you, because he can do that too. So that's what I'm saying. The 3-point Bulls, man, we got to take them seriously. Chicago, we got the size with Vucevic and Drummond to make us have to play centers. We can't be too small out there. We got to have a lot of Anthony Davis. And they got the guards that make us want to, scramble around the perimeter. You got to chase. It's going to be incumbent upon Dennis Schroeder and Vanderbilt. Those guys are going to have to play great defense, man. Troy Brown, we're going to need y'all to track people. D'Angelo Russell, if he's playing, he's got to win his matchup. And all of this is, of course, is contingent upon Bron not playing. With Bron playing, we need the same thing, but it's definitely going to be different responsibilities for everybody. If Bron's out there, the one thing I want to see the King do is not be a cater to us having turnovers, bro. When he usually get back from not, or whether he's trying to work himself in the rhythm or not, if he's not hot, if it's a cold night, chances are he's settling for 3-point jump shots off the dribble, and he's turning the ball over repeatedly, unforced. And so these are things that we haven't had go wrong since he's been gone. And while we missed his pluses, which far outweigh those, at the end of the day, we have lost games on LeBron James' mistakes. And we've lost leads on things like that. So we have a healthy fear for the King's mistakes, just like we have a healthy fear for everybody else's. So as we reincorporate him back into it, and we know he's the greatest player, maybe not ever, but ever, literally, like maybe him and Mike, that's it. But at the end of the day, for the Lakers, we gotta work around certain parameters, the turnovers, the missed shots, and the absences with the injury. So this is real to us. May not be real to Miami, may not be real to Cleveland, but the King we just got to manage those things properly. And so that's what we do. We stay present and we get ready to win because we got to win. And so if he's playing, we are super, super happy. We're super proud that he's on our team still. And we're proud of our team for earning an opportunity to give him a team to come back to. We could have very easily dropped a bunch of games and been out of this thing like Utah or Portland appears to be. But we've kept our foot on the gas, whether guys were out there or not, whether we were happy with what we're seeing or not, whether we had a center or not. We just kept on picking ourselves up and continuing to keep the win now mentality each and every night. And guys have stepped up. We've seen some of everybody step up last game. AD stepped up. Austin Reeves, even though he didn't shoot well, he was impactful with like 8 assists or something like that. Vanderbilt stepped up big in that game. We got everything we need. Schroeder was huge in the fourth quarter. These are the type of things that ultimately make us as good as a team as we are. Lonnie Walker, obviously, with the 3 steals and a bunch of threes. We just really, really found ourselves with a good overall effort from our team. And that's exactly what we had been missing in certain situations, particularly against the Rockets, where we just didn't see that. We didn't see the effort. We didn't see the intensity. Against the Dallas team, we didn't see that intensity. And so we've quickly turned that around. And I'm excited about the end of this homestand here. We lost that Dallas game, but we took care of everything else after that. And so now that we see ourselves in this position, firmly in 8th place with a chance to move up further or tie ourselves even further, I don't know how this works, but I don't think we leave out of the 7th place range if we win this game. But nevertheless, that's what we want to do. We want to keep ourselves above the fray. I think last I checked, we were in like a 4-way tie for 7th or 8th place. So that means 7, 8, 9, and 10. Everybody's tied, and we got to find a way to win. Meanwhile, Chicago's in the same boat. Exact same boat. They're down there fighting with Atlanta and Indy and all these other teams trying to get in the play-in tournament, and they're in 9th right now. So don't think for a second they're not going to do everything they can to bring NBA Finals intensity to this game, because if they don't, they're going to fall out the playoffs. They can't afford to lose 2 games against us, just like we can't afford to lose 2 games against them. We don't want to split either. We are better than Chicago, we believe. So that means we got to beat them where the game is at, whether it's 12:30 today or wherever time it's going to be for Tuesday or whatever the game is going to be. But we definitely see them back-to-back. They see us back-to-back, so let's get cozy with red and black. At the end of the day, this is what I know. We have a chance to see the King in one of these 2 games. We are going to have to blend in with him well, and every possession matters. Every possession matters. So whatever it takes to see continuity on the floor, I believe that's the only thing we should be shooting for, not to showcase anybody, not to just lean in on minutes or none of that. This is the time for strict strategy. You're playing for your playoff life. So let's get down there. Let's have good rotations. Let's have a loose, free mind space about ourselves. We're going to get on the road after this for a long time. So enjoy Los Angeles. Enjoy Crypto.com Arena team. And let's make noise, fans. If you're in the building, let's send them good energy in the afternoon, because this is definitely one of them whack afternoon Sunday games. So we need to be involved, and we need to understand that the intensity is to win. We must, absolutely must, win every basketball game that we're in from here on out. That is it. That is all. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.